here's a tip if anybody wants to start posting on social media, is you have to organize your content. You have to organize your videos from on site in different folders so you know where they are. So I can go like, oh, I want to make a video on cutting or a video on rolling. Well, I'm going to go to my rolling folder and pull out all my best rolling videos.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe. What's up, everybody? Mike Gore-Hickman here, founder of PainterGrowth.com, and you're listening to another episode of the Painter Growth Podcast. And very special guest today. Thank you for coming on. Danny Dion, founder of Vision Painting and handle owner of Vision Painting 23 on Instagram, 100,000 followers. Congrats on just hitting that milestone.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on. Thanks for having me. Thanks for choosing me to come on and give me the opportunity to speak about my experiences.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not every day that you come across a painting contractor with 100,000 followers, right? Like, obviously that's not everyone just from your community, but I'm sure it's a lot of people from your community. So like back up a few years, how did this all start?
So I started painting. Let's just back it up to when I started in the trade. I started in the trade in 2009. I was lucky enough to have two uncles that owned their own painting companies, and they own commercial painting companies. So I started in the commercial side of the trade, which is kind of important because I feel like commercial painting teaches you speed because it's work on a larger scale. So a lot more square footage. And so when you get rolling with something and you figure out the best way to go about executing whatever you're working on, that's when the speed kicks in. And then I combined that with residential. So I had about 5 years commercial experience. Then I started with residential, and that teaches you cleanliness a lot more because you're in people's homes, and attention to detail, quality, quality over speed for residential. And so that's my experience. Good combination of commercial and residential. And then when I worked for my uncle's company, a lot of people looked at me and they're like, oh, he's only a foreman, because I started being a foreman after like a year and a half, 2 years in the trade, only because the foreman on my job, on the project I was working on, quit. And my uncle was like, hey, do you want to take over and run the job? And I was like, yeah. And it was an exterior school. So it's a pretty straightforward project. And I was good at driving boom lifts and stuff like that, picked up on that pretty quick. And so I took over, took the opportunity, and then went on to continuing to lead projects. And a lot of people were like, oh, he's only a foreman because of his uncle. And I kind of like use that as a chip on my shoulder to prove people wrong and show people that, no, I'm actually a foreman because I got skills. And, I kind of wanted to prove myself. And like with commercial painting, or with really any painting, there's a competition aspect to it, because when the company gets slow and it's time to lay people off, they're only going to keep the guys that make the money. They're only going to keep the guys that are the best. You know what I mean? So I kind of learned that quick. I didn't want to be the guy that was only working because my uncle was the owner of the company. So I really, I showed up to work, and I really, made a point to get better.
Yep. Sweet. So that's how you kind of got your start. You gained a lot of the technical skills working commercial. How and when did you decide to pivot that into starting the residential side, or starting Vision Painting?
Yeah. So my older cousin, when I was living up in Vancouver, this is up in Vancouver, Canada, because some of my family is from Vancouver, and I have a dual citizenship. So I was able to go up there and live. And one of my cousins owned a residential company, and I worked for him on the weekends. And then I decided, ultimately, I was like, well, my goal is to own my own company, and I feel like I'd probably be better off starting it in residential. Just made more sense. And so I started working for my cousin, started learning from him, and then ultimately decided I wanted to move back down to where I grew up, which was in Woodinville, Washington, which is just northeast of Seattle. And moved back down here, worked for a commercial company for about a year, and then a residential company for about 5 months, and then started my own business in 2017.
Sweet, 2017. So you're going on about 6 years right now, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, it's pretty
So
crazy.
what was it like right when you started? Were there any challenges that you had? Was it kind of tough to get work, or kind of what was that like when you immediately when you started the business?
Yeah, so it was challenging at first because there's only a certain amount of people that know about you. So I was lucky to have my dad, who has a lot of contacts with business and through his golfing buddies, because he's a member at a golf club. And when you're a member at a golf club, there's a lot of people that you talk to, and so he was able to get me some jobs right off the bat. So I knew I had work right off the bat. So I was like, okay, these guys want me to take on these projects. So I was like, all right, this is a good opportunity to start my own business. So I did that, and then when I slowed down from that, well, first off, as soon as I got paid, I bought tools. So, as soon as you need something, you buy it. You don't just buy something because you want it. You only buy it when you need it for the project. And I was able to do that and manage my money pretty well. And I was, I kind of decided to sacrifice and move back in with my parents. So, I mean, no one wants to live with their parents when they're approaching 30, but it just made sense financially. So I did that. And then when I started slowing down, which was probably about 3 or 4 months after I started my business, I jumped on Angie Leads, which was formerly known as Home Advisor. And it's not a great platform for leads because you have to pay for every lead that comes in. And sometimes the lead will come in and you'll call them and there'll be no one there. Like no one will answer the phone. And you'll be like, well, I now have to pay $100 for a lead when I didn't even get to talk to the customer. So that was really frustrating. And so because I handed out flyers to neighborhoods, I would hand out flyers. I didn't like to go door to door because I think that's like kind of a 90s thing. No one really wants strangers to show up on their front door, but you can hand out flyers. You can like go to mailboxes and you can kind of hand out flyers, which is fine. So I did that. And then I posted on Facebook. So using social media to friends and family, I think that's the best way to get leads is putting your name out there with friends and family and posting some stuff on Facebook, and then people will like there's not just your immediate friends on Facebook, but there's those groups like those neighborhood groups which have like thousands of followers. And so that helped out. And then I got going with that. And then I dropped Angie or Home Advisor pretty quick. And really haven't paid for leads for a while now.
So like what before, I mean, obviously we want to get into like the Instagram and your growth and your account there, but like before we get in there, I agree. The Facebook group, the Facebook community group strategy is like super slept on strategy.
Yeah.
What kind of things were you posting in those groups that seemed to work? Like just pretty casual, or was there any strategy to it?
So yeah, there's a little bit of strategy. I guess I kind of wanted to be catchy a little bit, and like at first with my friends on Facebook, I'd make a joke like, I'm pretty big on Adam Sandler and like Happy Gilmore, like those movies in the 90s. And so I've made a post that said, only 260 or only 300 and something more days till exterior painting season. I gotta toughen up, and I posted me doing this rock climbing. Because exterior painting, you're climbing ladders and you're working off roofs, and it actually really does help to have those skills and be comfortable climbing. So I posted that, and then people were like, "Oh, okay, he's painting, like he's." And then I posted another one, showing me working really high up on a ladder, and it is during COVID, so I said social distancing, and people started messaging me from those posts and saying, hey, so you do painting, can you, like, we need a painting project done. And I think that helped because it was catchy, so people read it. They didn't just like scroll through it. You have to kind of like do something that stands out. And I think just it came natural for me because I have a sense of humor. And then from there, like, I didn't want to just post my projects all the, you don't want to like overdo it and post too frequently because people will kind of get sick of it. So I just try to make a point to post like once a month.
I think there's a big lesson to be learned there. And you kind of said it, but like a lot of people, when they post on Facebook or they post in those groups, they'll be like, painter for hire, name, phone number, email, free estimates, or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But what you're doing is you're actually turning those types of posts into actual content, right? Like if you scroll on Facebook, you think about like what are the posts that I actually stop and read, that like get my attention and like
yeah,
make me stop for like 10 to 15 seconds. And it's not those like text posts or like flyer type things that are like clearly just someone hawking their
yeah,
wares.
yeah, exactly. I think that stuff's kind of overdid, and it's just kind of like people want to look professional, but at the same time, you want to stand out too. Um, so yeah, I started doing that, and then
So posting friends and family, these Facebook groups, kind of like early like meme type things,
yeah,
painting
so
related memes.
yeah, so just making some posts that stand out, not doing it too frequent, and making sure that you're putting a good before and after shot on display, and like shots that have contrast that jump out at you. And then for me, like, I started wearing high vis shirts. You can see that, but I started wearing the high vis because my company's called Vision Painting. So I actually started wearing high vis because I like the look of it, and then I realized, hey, it's called high vis, and my company's Vision Painting. That actually makes sense. So, but like the high vis stands out. So when I wear that in shots, it kind of, because painters, they wear white on white. There's no contrast, and everyone does that. So it's good to have something that catches the eye.
You mentioned contrast twice there, and then also before we went live, you spoke about contrast. And that's so important. I see people like post before and afters where they like paint something like a slightly different shade. And it's like, you probably did great work, but it's like in 1 second, you can't tell what one was before and what one was after.
Exactly.
Yeah. How else
Exactly.
have you used contrast to your benefit on social media?
So, I think that one of the reasons why I've been so successful on social media is because, for one, there's a skill that you have to learn, and that's number one skill is filming yourself paint. You have to get at filming yourself paint. You can't just turn the camera on and start painting without looking at the shot and making sure you're capturing the details of what you're doing so the viewer can see what you're doing. Because if you're too far away, you think, oh, look what I'm doing. I'm doing such a good job. But if you're too far away and not zoomed in on what you're doing, the viewer could care less. And so contrast really comes into play with that because the contrast is what's going to keep your eyes kind of glued to the screen. So when you're rolling a wall out or you're doing a cut and you see one color going on top of another color that's completely different, that's really going to capture the viewer's attention. And that's really important. It's really important to get views with content that for when you're painting with contrast.
When it comes to like edits, what have you found to be more successful? Like just like straight up no edits, like a, what do you call it, like the fast, when you like fast forward through a shot, time lapse, or like actually like cutting up and editing a video with like transitions and stuff? Like what kind of method have you found to be the most engaging for people?
Real time. So I would say real time is the most engaging. I used to use fast forward a lot to speed up the story in the video. So I'd be telling a story and I want to kind of show what I'm doing, but to keep the viewer's attention, so you don't want your clips to be more than like 3 or 4 seconds. So I would use fast forward, but then I kind of realized that it's not really fun to watch when you're in fast forward. It can be important to get for the viewer to get an idea of what you're doing. But when you're working in real time, it's a lot more. It really shows what you're doing a lot more, and the viewer is able to see those details a lot better. And so I'd say real time. Like when people show themselves cutting and they fast forward, there's one guy that does it pretty much every video, and it's like, okay, like, I can't really see your skills because you're just speeding it up, and I can't really see the details of your cut, and I can't really see how quick you are. So yeah, there's just certain things that you want to fast forward, but you want to try to avoid it. I would say.
How do you, when you finish a clip, say spend, how long does it take you to make a post?
Ooh, so when I'm filming myself paint, I've gotten a lot better and more efficient at it on site. At first, I was kind of wasting time because I would just all of a sudden think, oh, I need to film this, which is fine. But now I go in a lot more prepared and know exactly what I'm going to film.
Tripod?
And then, yeah, I have a tripod, and then I film myself with one hand when I'm cutting and doing close-ups. It's always with one hand, which is another skill you have to learn.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably easier just to get your helper to.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. Like your helper can try it out, but then if he does a bad job, like it's a skill, right? So
Yeah,
he may mess it up, and then you may look at it and be like, "Yo, what the hell, man? I did a perfect job, and you didn't film it properly." And it's just so you really got to get good at filming yourself paint, and so holding your phone in one hand and then having a tripod, and so I got a lot better at that. So that went quicker on site. But then as far as doing the edits and actually creating the video, here's a tip if anybody wants to start posting on social media, is you have to organize your content. You have to organize your videos from on site in different folders so you know where they are. So I can go like, oh, I want to make a video on cutting or a video on rolling. Well, I'm going to go to my rolling folder and pull out all my best rolling videos. So when you're doing your edits, you go to those folders, you pull them out, and then so I would say I take about 30 minutes organizing my clips or pulling my clips out, and then getting them to the right length so I can capture the most important parts of the clip, which is, like I said, it's only about 3 or 4 seconds. So that takes about a half an hour, and then I lay my audio, and laying the audio goes pretty quick. That takes about 10 minutes. And then I try to line my audio up with the clips. So what I'm saying, I want it to time up with what the people are looking at.
it's like if there's a change in the audio or a bar change or something like that, like that's when the clip changes.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to, like, with what I'm saying, I like the clip to change, and so people can get eyes on what I'm talking about, so they have a better idea of what I'm talking about. And so to line it up to make it all perfect, and then so there's like 3 steps. So there's pulling the clips out, laying the audio, then timing up the audio with the clips, and then the last thing, the finishing touch, is always sound. You have to capture the sound, the original sound of your clips of you painting with your audio. You don't want to be talking over sounds that are important sounds to hear. And then you don't want those sounds, like the sounds of you spraying. Like spraying can be really loud, and you don't want that to take away from your audio. Because if you do any of those things wrong, and with what you're saying gets covered up by you spraying or whatever the audio is, the original audio is, it's not going to get views.
What tool do you use to do your edits?
So I use an app called KindMaster.
You just do it on your
And
phone.
that no, I do it on my iPad.
Okay,
It's
iPad.
I do it on a bigger screen. On the phone, there's an app that I mean, it's you can do it on your phone too. It's just a lot harder because the screen's smaller, and so the touch screen is sensitive, and it just doesn't work as well. So it's
Yep.
better to do it on iPad. So I do it on my iPad, and so the whole process of making a video, it takes a good hour, um, with not including filming on site. So when I'm at home and I want to do a video, it takes about an hour.
And then you use the Photos app folder system on an iPhone to like
Yep.
categorize spraying, rolling,
Yep.
brushing.
Yep. I find the iPhone photos works really well because it allows you to use a bunch of different albums.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's totally. If I was kind of playing around with the Google one, but I like the photos from Apple better.
Yeah,
So
if you can use it because it's so integrated, right? It just all works, which is nice.
yeah, exactly.
And then you take it on your phone and it already appears on your iPad. You're
Yeah,
just done.
so there is a little bit of a transition where you film and then like it's been a couple hours and it's not showing up on your iPad, and that can get frustrating if you're trying to use that content right away. So I just text message myself, and I'll just send it
Mhm.
through text message and I'll get it right away.
Or AirDrop, I guess, would work too.
Yeah, something like that.
So
Just
how
to get
about you've done a lot of videos, posts, whatever over the years, and I will again I want to get into like the growth of your account. But when you spend an hour making a clip, these clips are like what, 40 to 60 seconds kind of thing,
the entire length of
like
the
the
of
post.
the content
Yeah,
I post.
yeah.
The post, yeah. So there's different lengths that have proven to be successful. Right now, TikTok is pushing out 60-second pieces of content. So content that's longer than 60 seconds, they're pushing out. Um, and I find all this info through the guy that I follow on YouTube. And so and then on YouTube, I just started posting on YouTube. It's actually only been like a week, so I'm just getting started on there. But the key length on there is 31 seconds
Really
because the algorithm for the YouTube algorithm, it's all about watch time. So when someone watches your video, if they watch it 100%, that's obviously really good, but that's really rare. And so after 31 seconds, their threshold for watch time goes down. So the percentage of people that have to watch your video all the way through decreases. And so if you make it 31 seconds, you have a greater chance of it getting pushed out for more views. So,
interesting.
yep. So 31 seconds on YouTube, and then a minute on TikTok is is my target right now.
Okay.
And
And on
then
Instagram?
Instagram it's pretty much the same as TikTok. Um, and so it kind of just depends on like the type of the topic that I'm making a piece of content about. If it's just like a cutting video, a quick cutting video, it's good to do like a 12 to 15 second,
And you'll
satisfying.
usually dub it on top, like
Yeah.
dub your audio, like your voice over top of the video, right? Because that's part of your strategy.
Yep. So part of my strategy is providing value to my content. So not just a video that's satisfying to watch, that's just myself painting with music in the background. That's what 90% of the people do on social media is put music to what they're doing. And I like to put my own audio to teach people tips on how to improve their painting skills. So I'll throw my audio on there during the editing process, but you can also do it on the platform. You can actually edit your videos on the platform as well. And they say it's better to do that because you're on the platform longer. So the platform likes that. The platform encourages you to edit your videos on there, but it really doesn't matter. I think as far as views, I think it's better to use the app KindMaster because you can save all your projects. So you can start working on something and you may not finish it, and then you can save it. Like right now I have like 50 different projects that I've started, just ideas that I've already started, and you can't do that on the platforms.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you finish your video, and before you publish it, you probably watch it from start to finish to make sure, to double check it, to make sure everything's looking good. Can you kind of tell ahead of time if you think a piece of content is going to do well or it's going to bomb?
Now I can, but when I started out, I had no idea. And really, the key ingredient for me now is getting people to talk, getting people to go in the comment section. Because when they're in the comment section, it's not just that they're leaving a comment and it's showing the platform that people are engaging with your video. It's also when they're in the comment section, the video is replaying. And if you get replays, then it's going to get more views. And so if I say something that that can be controversial or something that a lot of people may not agree with, then like I don't do it on purpose. I don't ever post about something that I don't believe in. But I know if it's like I did a video recently about why carpenters do a horrible job with the surface prep, and it's known that they fill nail holes with caulk, which is obviously really bad because caulking shrinks, it doesn't get rid of the hole. And so I did a video on that, and there's probably like 90% of the comments were carpenters that would say, actually, I do a really good job with surface prep, and painters don't, and blah, 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 blah. And then there's a bunch of painters that would say, yeah, right on. Like that's, so there's like a ton of people in the comment section, and that video went viral. That was like a couple weeks ago, and now it has like 2 million views on Instagram. And then I did a video on rolling walls, which right now, what you want to do is you want your videos to rank for search, because TikTok is competing with YouTube, and they're trying to have people come to their platform to look things up, to learn. So when it ranks for search, when they look up how to roll walls, they're going to find my video. So that topic of rolling walls did really well. So it's about ranking for search and then having something that people are going to comment on, because that gets replays, and replays and shares get a lot of views.
Yeah. Yeah, that controversial stuff works.
Yeah, so like there's this guy called Alec Paints. He's actually the most followed painter on social media, because he has like almost 4 million followers on TikTok, and then he has 400,000 on Instagram. And he consistently posts videos of him painting around faceplate covers on walls. So instead of taking the plate off, he'll cut around it, and people will go to the comment section and say, you got to take that off. And so it's like, and he keeps doing it, and he keeps getting millions of views. And it's pretty funny because like it's just so funny because so many people want to prove that they know something about the trade. If they're a professional painter or whatever it is, they want to like act like, oh, I'm better at painting than this guy. And so they'll want to leave a comment to show that they know, they have knowledge of the trade. And like it never fails. Like people will always go in there and they'll try to like I said, leave a comment that shows they have knowledge of the trade, and then they'll also kind of want to take a jab at you too, and put like a laughing emoji at the end of their comment, like like it's gonna bother me.
Yeah.
Like that, those comments don't bother me at all. It's actually like negative comments for me just fuels me to like make my videos even better, or just go even harder. But also there's also comments that I actually learn from. There's actually people that actually say some good stuff that's like, oh, I didn't see it like that. Okay, cool, like that's a good point. So it's it's awesome when you get a lot of people commenting, because the people that follow you use those comments to learn, and it's a good way for people to talk about the trade in the comment section. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, it gets you a lot of views.
Yeah, I think I've seen that guy before who paints like around the face plates. I think he's shown up on my algorithm before. And sometimes, you watch a video and like before the video is even done, you'll just scroll directly to the comments. You're like, these comments are going to be great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. You always know too. Like whenever you, and so here's the big thing with social media and to be successful on it, you have to watch, you have to go through and like watch other videos. You can't just like post and not ever be on social media. You don't want to, obviously, no one wants to spend too much time on social media, but you have to watch other videos because then you learn stuff about why are these videos successful. And you'll watch a video and you'll be like, oh yeah, there's probably gonna be a lot of people commenting about this. And sure enough, you go in there and there's people commenting and they say what you wanted to say, so you learn a lot from watching other people's videos, studying the
Yeah.
craft of making content.
So when you're looking and doing your final review before you post, what are some of the things that you're looking for?
The sound so the first thing I'm looking at is the clips itself to make sure I'm not getting bored watching the video. So I'm watching the video and I'm not like, I don't find myself being like, okay, I'm taking too long with this one clip and people are probably scrolling away. I want to keep people engaged and I want attention on what I'm doing. So that's number one. And then number two is I want my audio with what I say. Because usually that part's already good. I've already kind of went over that and that's good. It's mostly, I would say, my audio. I want my audio exactly what I say to be how I want it to say it. Because I don't want to say something wrong and then people be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So I want to make sure my audio is exactly how I want to say it and that it lines up properly with the clips and you can hear everything properly. So I want like the sounds of what I'm doing to be at the right volume.
Whatever the intention is. And with this app that you shared, KindMaster, you can control the audio levels of each individual track.
Yeah, yeah. So you can, every clip that you put in there, you can go to the sound bar and lower the volume, or you can mute the volume. So
Probably a
yeah,
lot of other things that you can do too, like do clips
Mhm.
and change the volumes of your different like micro clips and fade like transitions and sound effects and
There's some
stuff.
transitions. Yeah, there's some cool transitions that you can do. I haven't really used them, but dabbled with them. I'll probably use a couple of them. They're kind of cool with like before and after. I think
Yep,
before and after, since I think that'd be cool. Yeah.
that's awesome. And then how about when it comes to the caption? Is there any like secret sauce with pairing a different caption with the video, or you leave the caption blank, or what's up with the caption?
The caption, you mean the text on the screen? In
Not on the
in
screen, the text like below the video. Like you write,
oh,
you
okay.
you
So
post, you have the post,
the
and then you have like the
description.
caption below. Description.
Okay, the
Yeah,
description. Yeah. So the secret sauce with the description is you want it to rank for search. So you want people to, when they type in, whatever they're trying to look up, you want it to be pretty broad with what you're doing. So like if I did a video on rolling walls, I want to say the two main things you want to avoid when rolling walls. Or like I do like surface prep. So I try to do videos on surface prep and make people understand that there's different steps to surface prep. So I'll say like surface prep step, 4. And so I'll just kind of label my video and then I'll talk about my video in a way where like people are wanting to learn about. And so I don't just say like, oh, because a lot of people will do this, like most people will do this, and they'll just say, oh, so this job, this happened, and they'll give like a little story about the job. And really, no one really wants to hear personal little stories. They want to learn something. So it's like, so I try to avoid being personal. I mean, it's to a certain extent. You want to like give your followers a little bit of like a little bit of your personality for fun, but at the same time you want to be like straight to the point and teach people more because more people want to learn
yeah.
than their little story. So so that's what I'll do.
Unless you're a
That's my
really
strategy.
great storyteller.
Yeah, yeah, unless it's like something super funny or whatever. But that's why most followers, when people are following you for something, they're following you because they want to learn about something. And then when you post like, oh, it's Christmas time, here's a post with me and my family, the likes go way down. Like people really don't care about that. Like as much as you want to be friendly and personal, you can do that in your story. Like I'll talk about jobs in my story and talk about certain specifics in my story about the projects that people will want to hear, but I don't post about that. And I don't write that stuff in my description. I kind of get to the point because it, like I said, it ranks for search. You're going to get people that will, you're going to get more views when people type in this or whatever they're looking for and your video comes up. And then at the end of my description, I put my hashtags. And there's different hashtag strategies. Mine that I find to be successful is 3 to 4 hashtags. And so there's broad hashtags, and then there's niche specific hashtags. And niche specific hashtags are obviously painting, like house painting, tradesmen, surface prep, and satisfying videos. And then broad hashtags are like hashtag reels, hashtag for you page, hashtag
And have you
viral.
split tested hashtags versus no hashtags and like the engagement that gets?
I haven't, because the guy that I follow on YouTube encourages hashtags, but he also has said before sometimes you don't even need hashtags. And there's a lot of people that think that like hashtags are overrated, but it's really like I said, it comes down to following social media and seeing other videos and seeing the ones that go viral. Look at what they're doing, and 9 times out of 10 they'll have hashtags. Unless like it just depends. Like if the video went viral because it was something really really cool, and you know they just posted it and they don't know nothing about social media, they just posted a video and it happened to go viral, yeah, they're not going to put hashtags. But all the content creators, for the most part, will put hashtags.
Fair. Totally fair. So then how do you get your start with Instagram? Right. So we just talked about strategy for the last like 20 minutes, and that was awesome. Thank you for sharing like all those nuggets. If someone goes and implements half those things, I mean, I think they'll crush. So how did you get started in Instagram, and what was that like? Did it take you a while to find your niche, or?
So with Instagram, so I started posting on TikTok first, and I think I hit like 100K on TikTok before I started posting on Instagram. And so I knew my videos were already successful and they were going to do well. With Instagram, I just kind of found it's pretty much the same as TikTok. Like you have to post consistently. You may get discouraged and you may post like 3 times during the week or 4 times during the week and think that's a lot and think that you should get views because your content's really good. Well, the algorithm is just getting familiar with you. And so you have to show the platform that you are a consistent, you have consistency and you're going to post frequently. And so when you do that, that's when you start getting views. And then what you can do, so what you do is you post like once a day. And then those first posts that you posted that didn't get views because you're new to the platform, you can just repost those videos down the road once you hit a threshold. Because right now I'm at a threshold where I don't get a post that's under 10,000 views. So like every time I post, like a couple days later, if it's a post that doesn't do well, in a couple days it'll get over 10,000 views. If it does well, it'll get over 100,000 views. If it does really well, it'll get over 1 million views. But I'm at the threshold where my posts always, no matter what, get over 10,000 views, pretty much always over 50,000 views. Eventually, it takes a little bit, but at first you're only going to get like 200 views, 300 views, 400 views, and then once the algorithm gets used to you posting frequently and you're following a formula that's successful with the length of your video, with it being satisfying to watch, keeping people engaged, all that type of stuff, you can just repost those videos and it'll do well eventually.
Wow. Because I heard, and I don't have no proof behind this, but I thought like they can kind of spot reposts, but I guess not. It's just like depends when it's being posted.
Yeah. So for me, because I have KindMaster and I have all my projects saved, when I do a repost, I tweak the video a little bit. I always make improvements. I'm like
Yeah,
constantly trying to make improvements because I'm just a
that's
perfectionist.
nice. You
Like,
can go back and re-edit the videos that you've already posted because you can't do that if you're just using like the basic editor.
yeah, exactly. You can't save anything on the platform. And so because I'm a perfectionist, I always find something that I can make better. So I'll make it better and then I'll repost it. And your followers may notice that it's a video that you already posted. But the thing is, you got to understand is if it's a good post, they don't mind seeing it again. Number one. Number two is the video gets pushed out to, like, I would say like 70% of the people that watch it aren't your followers, so they've never seen it. And if they have seen it before, they may see it again and be like, oh, this is actually a really good post. I'll follow this guy this time. Maybe the first time they didn't follow you and they see it again, they follow you. It's kind of like watching a movie twice or hearing a song twice. If it's a good song, you want to hear it a couple of times in a row. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter if you repost. You just don't want to repost frequently. Like I repost probably like once a month if it's a really good video.
And you post pretty much daily.
Yeah, so I have a goal to post a new piece of content every day. And then I'll do some days I'll post twice and I'll have a repost early in the day. And I like to post my new content later in the day because especially if it's like 60 seconds, you
Yeah.
gotta you gotta you gotta think like during the day people are busy. They don't want to sit on their phone for 60 seconds straight and watch your content. But at night when they're chilling on the couch, that's when they'll watch the video. So I like to post my new stuff later at night, and then I'll post do a repost during the day, and I find that to work well.
And so, what are you at now for TikTok followers?
TikTok followers, I'm at 130, or sorry, 230,000, just over 230,000. But this is all from, so like I took a huge break from posting this year, for a couple of reasons. But now that I'm back doing it, and I ultimately, realized that I really enjoy making these videos, even though I'm not getting paid yet. I've gotten paid a little bit, but I got to put more work into getting paid. And the thing is, like, I'm running a business, and so it's really, and I'm a homeowner and have a daughter. So it's just like I got so much stuff going on. You have to obviously be really good at managing your time. But if you're not getting paid and you're spending all this time making these videos, it can be overwhelming. And so I took some time off, but if you look at my Instagram, I have 140 posts, just over 140 posts, and I have 100,000 followers. So that's pretty good. And so with TikTok, like I said, I'm at 230, but I would be a lot higher if I didn't take so much time off posting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I can tell you I have
yeah,
more than 140 posts and a lot less than 100,000 followers.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I feel like I'm getting a lot of bang for my buck with my posts right now.
Yeah.
But it's just like I'm just starting to scratch the surface. Like I'm just starting to like really get a good idea of what posts are going to be successful and exactly what to do. Like pretty soon I'll be able to, like, almost every post will get close to 1 million views, but at the same time, those posts can take longer to make, and you want to post every day, so you will find yourself putting out a post that won't do that great, but it's still valuable information that may not go viral, but your followers will definitely want to hear.
Do you get,
So
how about like circling back to the painting business? Like, do you get lots of leads and inbound requests in your local area from Instagram and TikTok?
yeah, so it's pretty crazy. Like people will message me all the time on like every day on Instagram and TikTok, and they won't even take the time to read my bio where it says I'm from Seattle, and they'll ask me like, "Where are you from, man? I want my house painted. I want you to come paint my house. Where are you from?" And n- 99 times out of 100, they're not from Seattle.
Actually, it
But
doesn't even say Seattle. I'm looking on your Instagram right now.
oh yeah, actually no, I took it off actually recently because I realized that so many people don't even look at that, and it's actually so what I realized is what can happen is people can hate on you for no reason. Like I actually had someone leave me a bad review for my company on Google. He left me a 1-star review
Just because your
because
Instagram.
I replied to his because he gave me a comment on Instagram, and it was when I first started posting, and I wasn't in a good mood that day, and I commented back and I said, actually, you're wrong because my customers, that's what the customer wanted. That's why my company has perfect reviews on Google. So actually, it looks like you don't know what you're talking about. I said something slightly negative to him, and then basically just said I have perfect reviews on Google. Next day, I get a 1-star review.
He's like, yeah, let
Luckily,
me see what I have to say
yeah.
about that.
So luckily, I contacted Google and they took it off because the guy didn't leave a comment and he wasn't from the area. So they're like, okay, we'll take it off. But usually they don't do that. And so I just ultimately was like, well, people aren't even reading me putting Seattle after my email. I put it after my email and I said Seattle, and people aren't even reading that. They're just constantly messaging me and asking me where I'm from. And I'm just like, all right, if I'm going to get a bad review once in a while, I'll just take it off. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so to answer your question though, so a lot of people will ask me where I'm from and say, hey, come paint my house, and they won't be from the area. But there's a lot of people that are from the area. Eventually, I will get a lot of business from that, and I'll get a lot of people wanting to come work for me too. And that's one of my problems is finding quality painters to grow and to get multiple crews because right now I only have one crew. Um, and so eventually from my presence and growth on social media, I'll be able to get more people that want to come work for me, and I'll get more leads for jobs.
Yeah. I have a buddy who runs a pretty solid painting business in Seattle. He just got into roofing and some solar stuff as well. I'll hook you guys up.
Dude, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to do more commercial jobs. So I got one buddy that's a project manager for commercial properties, and he gives me some commercial stuff, and I enjoy working commercial a lot more than residential. Just because it's just work on a bigger scale and you're able to really crank out a lot of square foot of surface.
Yeah. If you can maintain
So
your margins on big commercial projects, you're
yeah,
golden, right?
yeah, and the customers, like I'm really good at interacting with customers, and I have no problem with them being home while we're working. It's just that your crew, your crew's never going to be how you want them to be. They're never, pulling up to the job site with their music blasting, parking in the customer's driveway, you know, block. So we just got cut out for a second, so I stopped talking. But they'll park in the customer's driveway. They'll put ladders in front of the entrances to doors. So they don't have a very good mindset when it comes to anticipating being cleanly in the customer's house. You have to really stay on top of them
Mm-hmm.
about that. And some customers are really picky, and so it's just a stressful. It can be a stressful situation. So commercial jobs are just a lot more stress free, and it's just like show
Yeah.
up and just work and not worry about a lot of little things.
Yeah. Especially if you have experience in that and you
So
know how to handle GCs and PMs and stuff like that, it's not a big deal. But if you're coming from the residential and trying to learn that, you
yeah,
can get slapped in the face pretty quick.
yeah. Luckily, I have a lot of commercial experience, so I'm like that's why I really want to get more jobs if I can. Eventually, I'll put more effort into doing that. But I just been putting a lot of effort into social media and growing,
Yeah.
which is that it's fun to do, and there's a lot of stuff at the end of the rainbow. There's a lot of money to be made, and there's a lot of business you can generate from it as well.
I mean,
But
dude, like you can only really do one thing exceptionally well at a time, in my opinion, right? Maybe
yeah,
two, but like you don't want to spread yourself too thin, or else everything that you do will just be shit.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing that a lot of people struggle with when they first start their business. But I will
Yeah.
say, I wanted, like, one thing I want on here is I think it's important when you open your own business to stay on the tools as much as you can. You don't want to be on the tools 40 hours a week because you want to dedicate a lot of time to estimating and to your hiring process and other business skills. But it's important to stay on the tools because the better you are, the better your crew will be. Wouldn't be where they are if I didn't stay on the tools. And so um, it's good to at least be on the tools, a few days a week for, like, you don't have to be there all day. But the better you get at painting, the better your crew's going to get because you're just going to pass those ways down to your crew. And you're going to always be the one that cares to challenge how things are done. So, like, when I started my own business, I didn't just think, oh, this is how the company I was working for did it and it worked great, so I'll do it just like that. No, I was like, is that the best way to do it? And I tried a different way. And I tell you, like, the way I do things is way different from any company I've ever worked for. And I've worked for 7 different companies. And because they're always coming out with new tools, and some of the tools they come out with don't work that well. But some do. And you have to try different tools, and you have to constantly be asking yourself, is there a better way to do this? And it really helps to show up to the job site and to tackle the most challenging parts of the project and show your workers, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And then you put them to work, you set them up the way that you found out to be the most efficient. And that's going to save you a lot of time from your workers trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's it, man. And then once you have that all down and your process is all documented, then it becomes time to scale.
Then you can, yeah, exactly. Once you get your ways of doing things down, your tools, like right now, I got a way of doing things and just plug people into those systems.
Yeah. Well, dude, I think, like I said earlier, I think if anyone comes on, listens to this and implements half of what you said, they're going to see a lot of success in their social media growth. And I think the strategies that you mentioned can be applied in a lot of other ways, not just social media, right? Like capturing attention right away and all that stuff. But Danny, thanks for coming on today, man. I learned a lot today.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks for having me on. It was a good opportunity to talk about, like I said, my experiences with being successful at the things that I do well, and it's a pleasure. And I really appreciate you considering me as a candidate to come on here.
Let's do it again, man. I look forward to collaborating in other ways in the future too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm down to do it again. And to all the people that are listening, I hope you guys have, and I hope that you learn something. And just keep on, I would say, keep on challenging yourself, and don't let little hurdles or challenges throughout you have to have that mindset where I'm just getting better.
All good, man. Well, thanks for coming on again, Danny. And good luck with the future growth of the channels.
Definitely. Like I said, I got a goal posting every day and trying to give people a lot of little tips and nuggets to how to improve their painting skills. Because there's a lot of little skills and a lot of steps. So yeah, hope everyone enjoys the content, and there's gonna be more to come. So
sounds good, man. Thanks again, Danny. Thanks for listening to the Painter